Hollywood keeps trying to resurrect its legends with pixels, and the results look like deep-faked nightmares. From zombie-eyed De Niro to a CGI Carrie Fisher that looks legally inhuman, these are 10 movies where de-aging tech went full uncanny valley. One of them made Harrison Ford look like he wandered in from a PlayStation cutscene. Although the Terminator story going back into the past allowed for clear reasoning behind the de-aging of Arnold Schwarzenegger, the recasting of Sarah Connor to a younger actress immediately negates that decision. The iconic Austrian bodybuilder is not a character the filmmakers could simply replace, so they use de-aging technology instead. This technology, although resembling young Schwarzenegger, does not look quite perfect, as many sequences make it clear that there is some CGI going on. What keeps it from being lower on this list, however, is the fact that the Terminator itself is an artificial intelligence machine, so it looking not quite right actually plays to the film's advantage. Rogue One is the first installment in the anthology Star Wars films, placing itself between the events of Episode 3 and IV. Featuring a team of misfits working to relay the Death Star plans to the Rebel Alliance, it amassed strong favor among Star Wars fans. The film ends with the plans being delivered to Princess Leia, immediately preceding the events of Episode 4, which begin aboard her ship. As she receives the plans, the film concludes on a message of hope as the main character's actions lead directly to the storyline of the original trilogy. Fans were excited to see Princess Leia reprise her original role, reprising the iconic side buns and white headdress. The only issue, however, was the use of de-aging in an attempt to recreate the look of a younger Carrie Fisher superimposed onto actress Ingvild Dejla. Widely accepted as impressive at the time, this instance of de-aging has only gotten worse with time, as her facial features do not quite capture the look of the original. Gemini Man is a 2019 action sci-fi film starring Will Smith as a near-retired assassin who suddenly finds himself tracked by a mysterious figure. As the film unfolds, it is revealed that this stalker who is following his every move is actually his younger self, sent to kill him. The complex, unique narrative of this film led to box office success, although it did not quite see equal success among reviewers and critics. The main issue of Gemini Man comes in the fact that young Will Smith shares the screen with his modern-day self. In constantly giving viewers a reminder of what the actor currently looks like, it makes the de-aged version of him stand out more, as it looks a little off. His apparent fluctuation in age between certain scenes does not do this technology any favors, and earns it a spot on this list. Paul Reubens reprised his iconic role as comedian Pee Wee Herman in the 2016 Netflix film Pee-wee's Big Holiday. In this installment, Pee-wee goes on the first holiday of his life, finally leaving New York. As he travels the country, Pee-wee encounters mischief and tomfoolery along the way in this family movie. Known to look forever young, the filmmakers decided to use de-aging technology to make Pee-wee look like his regular self, instead of showing Paul Reubens' age. Although it is not quite as important to the plot in this film for all ages, it does feel a little unnecessary, as some makeup could have gotten the job done. Instead, Pee-wee appears to look almost fake, making it feel like his immortality could be something not entirely human. The Last Stand is the final installment in the original X-Men trilogy, known for its bold choices and controversial reviews. When a cure for mutants is discovered, there is a split between them, with some choosing to become regular humans and others going into hiding. This was the first movie to ever use de-aging technology. Seeing as it was unexplored, it is hard to completely knock it when there was no comparison at the time. That, however, does not stop it from looking completely eerie and alien-like. The franchise made the right decision to recast them in the prequel films, as a full movie of these two mutants would be entirely too distracting. With new Professor X and Magneto actors on the horizon, there is little need to worry about it happening again. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is the fifth installment in the Indiana Jones series. The film sees Harrison Ford return to the iconic archaeologist role alongside his granddaughter, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. They race against time to discover an ancient magic dial in an attempt to keep it out of the hands of a former Nazi-turned-NASA employee. The film begins with a flashback, showcasing de-aged Harrison Ford within the first few minutes. Although it is passable CGI, the main issue with the de-aging here is the lack of validity. This flashback scene did not need to exist for the film to work, But the filmmakers decided to move ahead with the uncanny-looking indie, starting off the movie with a lack of realism. Reboots that bring back old movie stars should work with what they have, instead of trying to go back to how it was. Dead Men Tell No Tales is the final installment of the Pirates of the Caribbean series, starring Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. The movie features Sparrow searching for the Trident of Poseidon in an attempt to keep it out of the hands of his old nemesis, the ghost Captain Salazar. What's better than one movie that's the fifth installment in an iconic action series in which the main character searches for an ancient magical artifact and de-ages the protagonist in a flashback sequence? Two of them. Extremely similar to the previous entry on this list, this film feels like it threw in a flashback sequence just to de-age the protagonist in an attempt to recapture the magic of the originals. What resulted was a strange-looking Johnny Depp, whose CGI-altered face was the main talking point as fans left the theater. Central Intelligence is a 2016 action comedy featuring Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart. Playing former high school adversaries, Johnson as a previously overweight bullied teen and Hart as a popular athlete, they team up in a tale of worldwide espionage and fighting. The film decided, in its flashbacks to the lead's high school days, to use a de-aged Johnson rather than casting a younger actor. This created a scary image, as Johnson's face looks simply spread out across an overweight teen's face, resulting in a completely unnatural look. The appearance was played for laughs, and it is easy to see the humor in it, but the mere shock of the physical appearance of the young protagonist distracts from anything else going on. Martin Scorsese's Best Picture-nominated mob epic features Robert De Niro as Frank Sheeran and Al Pacino as Jimmy Hoffa, as the film explores the entirety of Sheeran's life, moving up the organized crime ladder. One controversial decision made in the movie was to de-age Robert De Niro and Pacino for large parts of the movie. With their acting chops and overall significance to the characters, it was too hard to replace them with younger actors. What resulted was a video game-looking De Niro and Pacino, whose skill on the screen was somewhat detracted by the obvious CGI effects. Although it remained integral to the story, it did prove to be a big distraction for moviegoers. This is a 2010 sequel to the 1982 hit film, following the same world and characters as the first. Kevin Flynn, played by Jeff Bridges, has been trapped in the Tron cyberworld for 20 years and is finally found when his son is drawn into his world by a strange signal. The filmmakers attempted to start off the film by recreating Jeff Bridges' physical appearance from the original in a flashback sequence. This proved to be a big mistake, however, as audiences continue to criticize the choice to this day. The $170 million movie used this CGI technology to de-age Bridges, but ended up making it look like his wax figure had come to life. Jeff Bridges himself mentioned that he looked more like Bill Maher than himself. Despite this poor decision, the film went on to make over $400 million at the box office and led to the greenlighting of the third film, Tron Ares, coming in 2025.